Hey everybody, welcome to eachother.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Swagman Current 2-bike platform rack for electric bikes here on our 2018 Jayco Seneca Motorhome. Now this is going to be an amazing way of getting your big heavy e-bikes to the trails with you or wherever your destination is in your RV. As you guys can see, this is specifically for e-bikes, of course. That means we are getting a couple nice features to start kind of going with that theme. One out of the gate, the big one, you are going to get 60 pounds per bike capacity on each one of your platform cradles here. So 120 pounds overall of bike on here. Not going to have any trouble at all getting your big heavy e-bikes to where you want to go. With that though too, you are getting some nice large cradles for your somewhat bigger tires. If you do have any fat bike tires, not going to have any issue at all with these guys. As you can see, you're getting about 5.5 inch spread here on our cradles. You are getting very long ratchet straps here. That way not going to have any issue going over those big wheels. And of course on that inside too, you are getting that nice 18C groove widening out, of course, as we mentioned. That's going to be great because we are going to get a lot of versatility out of this guy. Yes, we can get those e-bikes, but if we're bringing somebody else along too, we can go ahead, throw their bike on here and still transport it with no problem at all. A couple great things about these cradles as well too, they are adjustable. All we have to do, let loose a little bit here on those sides, makes this very nice. So we can go ahead, start adjusting, gets us a lot more versatility for bikes that we have on there. Speaking of versatility though, we are having frame mount here on our middle. So this ratcheting arm system will be coming down right on our frame. If you are looking at a way of transporting carbon frame bikes, unfortunately, this is not going to be a great option as that will end up deteriorating and warping your frames. However, if you do have any women's bikes, step-through bikes, or kiddos bikes, a lot of times you start running into issues with this horizontal frame systems if you have like any kind of hanging style or anything like that. However, with these arm systems, as you can see, and how versatile they are, you can see how low we could get, how high we could get. Don't think we're going to have any issue at all getting a host of different bikes up on here, especially with that 60-pound capacity. We're going to be hard-pressed not to find anything that will fit on here. Well, of course, you are getting that nice electric green throughout the entirety of the bike rack. One thing I like about that, if it is dark out or anywhere, maybe getting dusk, very easy to see where we need to go to start manipulating our rack. Now, this feature is going to be kind of defunct for us as we don't really need it, but it does have a nice little tilt-away feature even when our bikes are on our carrier. You can kind of take that tension out, pulling up on that back green lever and walking it down and setting it like so. Even with those big 60-pound bikes, it does a good job of kind of coming out. Now, we don't really need it here on the back of our Seneca. No ladder that we really need to climb today. However, maybe you do have one that you put on there. Nice that we can go ahead, get this tilted away from our vehicle and still get a little bit of room to start accessing it. One thing with it too, you know, we're not limited to just keeping this on our RV. If we have any other vehicles in our family, this can be quickly pulled off and thrown on there. Great for any kind of hatchback scenario or even tailgates that you might run into. Well, taking our bike off is going to take too much time, but that does bring us right to our ratcheting arm system. And talking about these guys, they do a great job of clamping down, won't be popping up unless we go ahead and actually activate that lever. Now that lever will be secured by our little locking cores here. Now these guys will be keyed alike, not only to each other, but to our hitch lock that will break down here just a little bit later in the video. But to go ahead and release our bike, we want to go ahead and just start taking out our strips. The little lever system is going to release that. One thing to point out too, we do have a little bit of a rubber hold right there in the middle of that strip. Nice, that way we're not having any kind of friction buildup on our bike, or I'm sorry, our wheel rims, I should say. And it gives us just a little bit of shock absorption. That way when we are kind of going along the road, bouncing, going to be staying nice and secure. Well, that does bring us to our last point of contact. To release this, I just want to go ahead, press in on my lever, and simply pull up. I like to take it off all the way, just makes our dismount that much easier. I'm not fighting with that extra hook. Make sure we are holding our bike though, don't want that tilting into our vehicle or ourselves, causing any kind of damage. And one thing too, these guys can get pretty heavy, so let's make sure we are setting ourselves rightly underneath it. And we can simply walk our bike away and already ready to ride. Now walking it up is just as easy. I again like keeping those arms off. That way they can hang there and I can ratchet them down when they are ready to go. But it doesn't take us too much time at all to do that. All we do is set them in place and bring them right down and they will get nice and secured without coming up. Well, this guy does get a little tall here. We can actually go ahead and drop him down very easily though with just a quick pull of this lever. And that'll bring it all the way down here for ourselves. So you can see that way it can be nice and out of the way. Not going to have to be worried about it. And then it actually will be locked in place there, so nice to be nice and condensed for ourselves. Well, a couple of dimensions to keep in mind on the back of our motorhome here. We definitely have a little length to consider already. Somewhat a long vehicle with our Jayco today. So let's go ahead and take a look to see what we're working with here. From the end of our bumper here to the very end of our carrier, right where our cradles are sitting, is putting us right at 28 3/4 inches. So definitely not the longest I've ever seen from a 2-bike carrier. That is kind of thanks to how close this guy sits. Not going to have a super long kind of shank, keeping us that far out. Nice that we're not adding too much length, but even if we were, we do have a way of quickly shortening that down. Now, before I do though, I want to go ahead and give us a quick look at our clearance in this position here. I think our biggest issue is going to be right here at the end, and right at 29.5 inches from our assembly to the bottom of the ground. Definitely not going to have any issue at all with that, I don't think. Now, we are pretty far from our rear axle, so keep in mind that as those front wheels go down, everything in the back, as the front wheels go up, everything in the back will go down. So it's definitely something to keep in the back of our minds, especially if you have a very steep terrain coming up ahead, or if you're getting real crazy with it. Let's just be conscious that we do have just a little clearance to keep in mind. But keep in mind, we do have that length that we were trying to shorten down. To do so, again, we're just going to come right back to that green lever. I'm going to go ahead and pull them right towards me, walk my carrier up. It's going to go ahead and lock in place, and you're going to have very little play in here, if any at all. I can barely get this guy to move. That's going to be nice as it sits here. Not going to be kind of rocking on the back here. Not going to be putting any pressure on our hitch, and we're definitely not going to feel it, even with being in the big old RV. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how much space we shaved down with that maneuver. From the rear of our bumper here to the very end is putting us exactly at 18 inches to the end there. So every little bit helps, especially being in these big motorhomes. You know, trying to park them can be a pain. So nice that we can go ahead, shorten that down as much as we can. Now keep in mind that is with the bikes off, but nice that we can go ahead, pull this in and park it when we are good to go. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at our clearance just in this position, just to give ourselves the assurance. And at 23.5 inches, again, don't think we're going to have any issue, especially with this being so close to our hitch and with no bikes on it. Definitely not going to be a problem for us at all in the long run, I don't think. Moving our way on the inside though, here you'll see we have an 1.25 inch receiver today, shank for our receiver, but we also have a 2-inch converter sleeve here. Now this guy is great, allows us to go ahead and utilize our 2-inch hitches. And on the inside here, we do have a threaded anti-rattle hitch bolt. Now these guys are standard across the industry, but you love to see them. As you can see, I can give this guy a shake. It's going to be shaking the entirety of the vehicle. Kind of hard to do in the RV, but as you saw, that all brings it all into one line, all into one system, which is going to make a very smooth ride for ourselves, our bike rack, but especially our bikes. On the end too, you will notice we have that little locking core from Swagman we mentioned. Now that is going to be, again, key to our ratcheting arm system. Nice way to make sure that our rack stays to our vehicle and our bikes stay attached to our carrier. Well, the Current does a great job. Of course, it's been designed specifically for your big, heavy e-bikes, so I think that's where this guy's really going to start excelling and shining for yourself. Of course, you got that nice little electric green in there. For us, it matches up perfectly with our bike. Hopefully, it does for some of you guys too. But it's not just that too. It's not all about just the color coding, right? It is nice to exactly let us know where we are in the dark, whether it be dusk. I'm not going to have any issue at all finding where I need to start manipulating my rack. Again, with that 60-pound capacity, I don't think you can really beat it. If you are looking for something just a little heavier, I know how heavy e-bikes can get. I might recommend looking at the Swagman E-Spec. That's going to put you about 70-pound capacity, so 10 more can make the difference if you're looking for it. So just kind of my little last thing if you guys are looking for that little bit of an upgrade. Well, I think that about does it for our look at the Swagman Current 2-bike platform rack for electric bikes here on our 2018 Jayco Seneca. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.
Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action. This simulates turning corners or evasively maneuvering. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or pothole or driving over uneven pavement. Once we get to the full speed bumps, we'll see the up and down action. This will be just like driving in and out of a parking lot, parking garage, or driveway.